So after years of planning a vacation with my wife and kids to go to my homeland of Mexico to meet my entire family, she's refusing to do it. The kids were excited. I thought she was going to be excited, and I surely was excited. I haven't seen my family in a long time, and now she won't do it. But there's something you guys need to know, and you might judge her for it. Let me tell you. My story begins like any other immigrant. Papers, suitcases, goodbyes, and lots of tears. I went in search of the American dream, and I feel I got it in time. It wasn't easy, but between jobs starting as a street sweeper and working my way up to being a manager in a Doortown ice cream store, you could say that I now enjoyed a good life. And a beautiful American wife and 2 little boys born and raised in L.A. We moved to the suburbs 5 years ago, and have been able to save enough to make college for our kids relatively easy. My wife, Angie, has been a great support to me all these years. But something's going on with her that, to be honest, I don't feel is going to get any better anytime soon. It's a delicate situation that involves my family. I'm from Mexico, and you can see it in my appearance. It's a little stereotypical maybe, but that never mattered to Angie. She just saw a nice person that I was. But when she found out about my ancestry, well, not that she took it badly, but she wasn't that excited about sharing a family with a Latino. Don't misunderstand, she's not racist or anything. It's just that she always imagined her life with a blonde soccer player. Or an Arab dude, she said. But not with somebody like me. Still, we've been married for a little less than 10 years. So at this point, it would sound silly for us to argue about anything, wouldn't it? Well, it is possible, and yes, it's happening. You see, when I came to the States, I had 2 goals: to have a good job and start a family. After that, I might consider going back home, even if it was just for a vacation. My original idea was to raise my family and then return, but I got so involved in L.A. that I ended up settling down here. But the desire to return, it never left my mind. So about 5 years ago, I started to develop a savings plan that would allow me to afford a surprise trip with my wife and children just to go to Mexico. Yeah, I know, it might sound a little bit crazy, but I checked with my accountant and it was feasible. It wasn't easy since we only had one bank account, mine, but that doesn't matter right now. The day I reached my goal, I cried like a baby, since I would finally make my dream come true since I've arrived in the country. My children would finally meet their grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, and in turns I would introduce my new family, making ours bigger. It would be almost 3 weeks in the capital of Mexico, visiting the most emblematic places with the whole family, and I'd already made plans with a couple of cousins who were my accomplices. I say this because my parents and siblings don't know about the trip either, and I have planned to tell them all about it in my video call. Thank goodness I didn't do that, but I feel like I would eventually ruin the surprise. I'm not that strong at holding secrets. Well, guys, this happened 3 days ago, just a week before the summer vacation even started. When I told my family about the surprise, the response that I received was anything but expected. I gathered them all together, my 2 boys and Angie, and told them to get ready because in 2 weeks, we would be going to Mexico to visit my family. The boys perked up almost immediately, or well, the older one, because the younger's just 5 years old and didn't quite understand the whole concept of the trip. At least he was confused and then perked up when he got it explained to him. But Angie, she was something else. She pulled me aside to the kitchen, quizzical, started to scold me as to why I decided to do this without her permission. I told her it was a surprise, but that she would not have to worry about anything since I already have everything covered. And I wanted the trip to be as stress-free as possible for her and the boys. The problem came when she started pulling out a lot of beat-up excuses as to why the trip could not be made. But everything that she told me, I instantly refuted. If she asked what about her parents, I responded they'll be with the rest of their family in Florida. And who will take care of the house? Our neighbor, Miss Norris, who's taken care of our house in the past. And what about the dog? I already secretly got a pet passport for him. It wasn't that hard, and when I say that I had everything covered for the trip, I meant everything. She was running out of excuses, and that's when I asked her if it was that she wasn't so okay with the idea of traveling. I told her, well, this way she'll get to meet my in-laws and the rest of our family, and that it might be an excellent opportunity for the boys to get to know a bit about their heritage. They've had a hard time learning Spanish, but in Mexico they'll be in the best environment to practice ever, seeing all my childhood places. Still, Angie remained reluctant, and I didn't know why. I insisted, and she said that she had to think about it. She was a little hurt that I hadn't told her, but I said that it was a part of the surprise, and that months ago I asked her precisely what would happen if I organized a surprise trip to Europe or Brazil, and she was excited. This was just to corroborate my plan. But now she was not so enthusiastic. She was a little offended when I asked her if it was because I thought my family wouldn't like her. According to her, that had nothing to do with it. She just didn't feel comfortable about it, and that seemed very strange to me, and the atmosphere became so sharp that she offered to sleep in the living room that night, but I told her that didn't matter. It was, I think, the first time we've ever discussed things like that, and I didn't even know why. The kids asked us why we were so off, and I had to fake happiness so that they wouldn't notice the confusion and sadness that I was feeling. I mean, for months I've been waiting for this moment. No, rather, for 15 years. I waited for the opportunity to happen, and now it turns out my wife doesn't want it for some reason. But 2 days have passed, and yesterday we talked it over. That's when things got a bit more interesting. Tired of all this trouble and having a terrible day because of the tension in the air, so the next day I asked Angie to sit down and talk, and to tell me why she wasn't sure about us going to Mexico. At first she told me that she didn't mind if I went. If anything, she even liked the idea. But I told her that the point was for all of us to go. She told me that she wasn't sure for many reasons, whether it was insecurity or fear that she wouldn't like my family. And no, you didn't read it wrong. She seriously said she was afraid that she would not like my family. Well, I thought it would be the other way around. She was revealing certain opinions that she had against my family. Opinions that she held for some time, apparently. She would tell me that as a result of all the conversations she had with me over the years, she began to have a somewhat dark view of my family, compounded with a lifelong stereotype of the average Mexican family. Guys, these are hurtful, extreme stereotypes. Wow, if you ask me. Basically, she thought that we were a bunch of barbaric people who insulted each other all the time and looked for an excuse to fight. Well, it was quite the opposite if she knew anything about me. She told me that she even went so far as to think that I left the country precisely so I wouldn't have to deal with them anymore. Something that's completely untrue. I told her that what she was telling me seemed unreal to me and that at one point it even sounded racist. She tried to defend herself, saying that everything was based on my words over the years. Okay, I complained about one or two things. It's normal. It's not like I'll have a wrong picture of her side of the family. But in the end, she didn't put up much of a fight. She insisted that I go to Mexico if I want, but that I should think twice before taking the children. How could I make her understand that I had thought about it more than 1,000 times? Let me tell you something. I'm looking forward to going out without her. At this point, I feel it would be ideal, but at least would like to take my children. It won't be easy because they're young, and that's something that hurts me, that I won't be able to enjoy this trip with my partner. I would like your advice because I don't know what to do. I've given a lot of thought to it, but I'm afraid of a possible divorce scenario because, let's face it, someone talking about your family like that is not a very nice thing to say. Worse if that person is your wife. And I don't even take it upon myself to badmouth my family. It's just that I was venting to Angie about certain things, but it was more than virtues that I've been commenting on for years. But I think the damage has been done. I just hope I can manage to convince her to join our trip. What do you guys think that I should do? What's up, everybody? Let's read these 2 comments before we hop into the first update because this story is heating up. Comment number 1 says, I'm quite glad that you can have that long-awaited trip. The thought of having a dream and fulfilling it so at the end of the journey you can return to your roots has to be a beautiful experience in the extreme. And I trust you that your family can get to have a great vacation too. Plus, seeing your old family again after 15 years, that's a big event. So I do get how upsetting it might be for that you and your wife is against this. I suggest talking it out with her again and trying your best to convince her. Comment number 2. Don't you think you're pressuring your wife a bit too much, man? Like, come on. She doesn't want to go, let her be. It is your dream to go back to Mexico, not hers, so you don't have to force your dream upon her. I know the thing that she said about your family ought to hurt, but try to think it from her point of view instead of ranting about her on the internet. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's me. I'm back with an update. Well, many of you wrote me almost the same phrase in the comments last week. Go get divorced. I don't think I should throw away a decade of marriage because of a problem like this. There were a few comments, about 2, I think, where you recommended that I talk it over with her, and that if it was a matter of her not wanting to go because she was uncomfortable in other ways. Yeah, let's face it, going to Mexico is not exactly a comfortable trip, I guess, for some people. Then we could opt for her not to go, and I could head down to Mexico with the kids myself. It would hurt, but it would hurt me more to force her to do offers of something that she didn't want to. We talked about it in a calm, civilized manner, but at one point we were back to square one. She doesn't look kindly on my family as a result of many of the stories I've told her over the years. While they were harmless to me, they made her think that I was being raised by a bunch of idiots, per se. I also wanted her to go so that she could meet my parents and thus understand that her in-laws can be some of the most loving people in the world. Once, many years ago, she met one of my cousins who liked her a lot, and they both talked about modeling. Sure, my cousin lived in Europe many years ago and had moved after me, but she still had the same Mexican essence that I did. So my wife thinking so despairingly blows my mind. We talked. I told her about the possibility of her staying in the house, and she accepted it. She took too light of a stance, as if at some point she knew I was going to give her that option. She was glad that we could understand each other and turned away, leaving me alone in the conversation. I told her to keep talking, because that was a touchy subject. I don't know when exactly is going to be the next time I would be able to see my family, so I wanted to make the most of everything, and she got submissive, saying all the advantages of her staying home, the money savings, the comfort of not having to call our neighbor. With a lump in my throat, I told her it's fine, and she could stay in the house, but I was seriously disappointed in her attitude. There, we had more arguments, and I now admit that this is perhaps the worst time of the relationship we've ever had. Regarding our children, where our eldest is very excited. He's already packing, even if I told him that the trip's going to be in 2 weeks, that it's going to be just Daddy, his brother, and him. But he doesn't care. He just pushes everything inside his backpack and helps his little brother learn how to pack his suitcase for the trip. But I got to thinking about what you guys wrote in the comments. A divorce, huh? It's the last thing I want, but unfortunately, it's what this situation is heading towards. And if I were to act on it, it would be a hard blow for me. My imagination is not only looking at divorce, but I'm obviously thinking about the kids, about whether it would be good to fight to have custody of both of them. I'll be honest with you, this whole situation has made me think that I can't just enjoy the trip at its fullest. I actually thought about just going to Mexico myself, but, guys, the kids, they're so excited. So I just can't do that to them. My youngest son tends to be very attached to his mother, so taking him away from Angie for that long, it's going to be hard, but I can't force them to go either. It should be noted that Angie and I have spent a few nights apart. I made the excuse that I'm going to the living room to watch TV, and I just end up sleeping on the couch. She doesn't say anything about it, so I would like another response from you guys. But this time, please give me a serious one, and nothing about me having to divorce her or make my wife stay in the house a living hell. That just won't work. I still love her enough to respect her thoughts, and no matter how offensive they are. Although that sounded pretty bad, right? So what do you guys think that I should do in this gigantic mess that I find myself in? Update number 2. Unbelievable. Guys, it actually turned out that Angie spent her discomfort of not having a vacation with us and my family by going to the beach with her friends. It's been a little over a month since my last update. Like 2 months actually, but what happened gives me cause to follow divorce advice. One of my closest told me to check the Instagram of one of Angie's BFFs. Didn't know why, but then I saw her post a group selfie of her on the beach with her closest friends, and Angie was amongst them, with a caption saying something about how important each of them was to her. And when mentioning Angie, she said that she finally could rest away from him. Him? Meaning me? And the comment section was full of inside jokes amongst them, saying mean things about me. Like I didn't let her breathe, and that life with our family was too exhausting to keep going with it. When I read that a week ago, I swear I wanted a divorce. I wanted to tell the children that we were now staying in Mexico forever. I felt that woman gave me nothing but false love for so many years, and that to this day it still hurts. I told her that at home we could talk, and since then she's been from call to call, trying to get in touch with me. The most I do is say hello, let the kids talk to her on video calls, and tell her how much they enjoy everything here in Mexico. She hasn't talked to our kids about the situation, and that bothers me even more. I don't know, I just get annoyed with every aspect of her, because she doesn't make an effort to ask what the family is like here either. The kids talk about everything, and that's the way she finds out. And for our part, our stay could not have gone any better. When we arrived, we were greeted by almost the entire family at the airport. And there were parties and joy, but with Angie's comments on my mind, I've not been able to enjoy it at all. And I don't know how we will react once we're back in the house. I think that we'll be here for a few more days, and the truth is that we've been able to save a lot on this trip, not only because we didn't bring Angie, but also because of all the help we received from the family. We had a pretty hearty barbecue a few days ago, and it was all bought by one of my uncles, who said that having me here was cause for celebration. In a sense, the fact that Angie is not here doesn't make me 100% happy, and to think that so many years pass for such a bitter outcome, it's not a really nice feeling. Anyways, I'll let you guys know whatever happens. Update number 3. Hey guys, so it's been a few days since my last update, and I'll tell you something very funny. When we started our married life, one of the things we most wanted to have was a joint bank account. This happened at Angie's job years ago that caused us to lose that account, and now I was the owner of it. But since it was stuff for the house, we still used it between the two of us, and it was only under my name ever. We used the same credit card for years, and it never presented any problems, at least until now. Because I detected some purchases made on the trip to the beach that Angie had with her friends. They were large purchases, and it seemed like she was paying for everything. I mean, lifeguards, hotel rooms, unlimited buckets of beer. And I thought about whether she wanted to leave us stranded in Mexico. But then I thought of something. I was talking to my cousins about this, and some of them gave me an idea. Why not cancel her credit card payments? Of course, that would be a very dirty move, and it could give her in a lot of trouble. But every time I thought about that situation, they told me that she had brought it on herself for offending the family. And it was partly true. My cousins, the one working at the bank, told me how I could make it look like it was an accident or look like I should do it to avoid trouble, making her look like a villain. It all fits perfectly. I would simply report the card as lost and they would find out who was using it. In fact, I think some time ago, during one of my past updates, somebody recommended something about the credit card thing, because I told them that we only had one bank account. It's amazing, that coincidence, and I'm thankful that we aren't the only ones to think of that solution. And in theory, I'm not doing anything illegal, it's just for travel savings purposes. Even Angie doesn't know about how much we've saved on this trip, and I don't know anything about her little trip to the beach, so whoever goes down first loses the war. And it clearly won't be me. She still has her debit card, but it doesn't have that much balance on it, so I wasn't worried about her running out of food. But now I want to know how she'll work out her wonderful trip to the beach without her family. Let's just hope my plan goes well. Final update. We are waiting for the flight home, and we've been waiting for almost an hour and a half now, but I don't mind. I'm too relaxed, and it's all because I could have my revenge against Angie for insulting my family and leaving her side. As I told you in the previous update, since our credit card has my name on it, I simply reported it as stolen, and all expenses made from a certain period of time were canceled. Exactly. I don't think in all of our years of marriage Andy had ever called me that much. But that led to a little drama that ensued with my mother. And that was the perfect cue for me to understand that I need to stay away from Angie. Since she could not reach me, she started contacting my family by any means possible, to the point of finding my mom's profile. I mean, she wrote to a 66-year-old lady just to complain about her son. But the conversation did not stop there. She raised the tone to my mom and started insulting the whole family. According to my mom, she started out by saying everything with all due respect, but then when she mentioned me, things changed. She went through all the made-up memories that she had about the family and how we're a bunch of uneducated idiots, and she was angry about the card issue, but that brought out a more deplorable state of herself. As for our vacation, well, we had a great time. As I told you, we met the family, and after my mom and Angie's talk, they even offered us lodging. But first, I have some things to sort out at home. I know Angie will start talking to me about the card issue, which I heard ruined her trip. She got lots of calls, and I can only imagine she had to borrow money from her friends. In court, I will argue that I was getting weird notifications from the bank for purchases I hadn't heard about. And they'll be in my favor because the textual evidence shows that Angie never called me or told me that, well, the so-and-so money was for this or that. She just went on spending sprees like there was no tomorrow. She and her friends, of course. But it doesn't stop there, because even the social networks have changed, and now the photos at the beach where she hangs out with her friends are deleted. Exactly all the pictures where she appears were deleted. The message is more than clear, and when I got into her other friends' social networks, I noticed how she excluded almost everything. Do you remember a while ago when I mentioned a post where she mentioned? Yeah, boom, deleted, with a new shorter caption and a couple of photos taken down. Many in the comments told me the usual. Divorce, divorce, divorce. And although it hurts to admit it, I think this case will require an effort not to take the easy way out. The kids will cry too much, but I'm sure Angie won't. She'll fight, but it doesn't pay. In a few days, one of the stores is going to retaliate in the matter. And that would leave her stuck on the beach in a cold room with not-so-friendly people. I guess I'll know its outcome when we return home. I'm just anxious to know when we return from Mexico. Maybe the next vacation will last a little longer, and the new dream of my life will be to return to the life I had, only in a better condition. I also hope that my children will be present in this new dream as well. In the meantime, Angie can stay with her racist thoughts on the beach, if she even manages to survive. Guys, here's the number one comment that got the most attention. It says, "The best thing I can think of is the fact that you and your children weren't only able to go to Mexico, but enjoyed the experience and are looking forward to repeating it in the future, even with the possibility of moving, which is more appreciated. And I thought the revenge was pretty spot on. Although the over-the-top drama was intense, I feel like you would have saved yourself a ton of time if you had just followed the initial advice in the comments. It would have delayed your trip to Mexico a lot, but I feel like you would have enjoyed it a heck of a lot more and been more calm without having to worry about Angie." Guys, here's where comment 2 comes in and says, "Really? You had to go down that road that caused Angie to insult your mother like that. Is that really what you wanted, OP? I know a lot of people would defend you, but I feel like you're the responsible one for how Angie acted with your mom. Like, you could have clearly just cut her off, but you wanted your stupid little revenge, and it led you to all of this." Guys, do you agree more with comment 1 or comment 2? And if you don't agree with either one, drop your advice down below. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every day. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you tomorrow. But of course, remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.